I've always said they're lousy politicians, but they do two things. They're vicious and mean, vicious. These people are vicious. Adam Schiff is a vicious, horrible person. Nancy Pelosi is a horrible person. And she wanted to impeach a long time ago when she said, I pray for the president. I pray for the president. She doesn't pray. She may pray, but she prays for the opposite. But I doubt she prays at all.
I want to interject something here. You heard President Trump refer to Nancy Pelosi and the type as horrible people. Vicious, horrible people. Now, for the Democrats and the Indies who listen to my show, and I appreciate your patronage, you might find that unfair, strident, over the top. Let me tell you why it's not unfair or strident or over the top. Do you know Lanny Davis? Lanny Davis is a longtime friend, confidant, supporter, and lawyer for the Clintons. During the impeachment in the 90s, you'd regularly see him on cable TV defending the Clintons. You might remember Joe Lieberman, the former senator from Connecticut. He supported the war in Iraq, and as a result, he got primaried. And he lost the primary. He decided to run as an independent, which the law in Connecticut allowed him to do. And one of those who supported him was Lanny Davis. And Lanny Davis would go to Connecticut and would campaign on behalf of his friend, Joe Lieberman. And Lanny Davis wrote an op-ed piece, I believe it was in the Wall Street Journal, in which he said, I am shocked at the way I have been treated by people in my own party. I have been a lifelong loyal Democrat, he wrote. And I was supporting my friend Joe Lieberman, a lifelong loyal Democrat. And I was called all sorts of vicious names. I have a friend, another lawyer, whose clients were approached, and the lawyer no longer began to publicly support Joe Lieberman because he was losing business, because people were targeting his clients and telling his clients. And Lanny Davis said he got death threats. And he said, I thought all my life, that the viciousness and the nastiness only came from the right. And now I have to reluctantly admit there's at least just as much viciousness from my own side. There's an article in Spectator, and the headline is The Rise of Cancel Chic. Subheadline, liberal journalists are so desperate to be canceled, they've begun to form a secret society around the theme. And the article is about how left-wing people will put stuff on social media, and then they'll be hammered and canceled, and they consider that to be kind of a badge of honor. But then he goes and writes about, this is, by the way, a left-wing guy, and he says, I've always been left. But in early 2017, quote, I penned a piece for the New York Post, speaking out against excesses of the media on the left. I was immediately fired from all my jobs, including as editor-at-large of Out magazine and The Advocate. Do you know those magazines? They're gay magazines. He continues, quote, I lost 100% of my friends and contacts in Brooklyn, where I still live. Before then, I had been foolish enough to believe that the journalists I admired were like me, innately curious, dedicated to getting towards something called the truth. I kept my nose down, focused on my work, enjoyed a rich life with friends, kept politics to myself, believing that's what good journalists ought to do. But then I wrote this piece. And I got fired. My book agent also dropped me after I wrote a positive profile of the right-wing provocateur, Milo Yiannopoulos. So here this guy is, editor with left-wing gay publications, wrote a piece where he criticized the excesses of the media on the left. Just, can you guys be a little more fair and balanced, is all he said. Got fired from all his positions. Book agent dropped him. This is what we're dealing with. And for the first time, we've got somebody in the White House, a Republican, who understands what we're up against. I once had dinner with Tom Sowell. And Tom Sowell told me, we're talking about the fecklessness of Republicans. They don't stand up. And he said, Republicans' favorite exercise, Larry, is running for the hills. How many times have Democrats said the most nasty, vicious things, and Republicans just didn't respond because consider the source? I've told you that I've had the privilege of interviewing Dick Cheney and interviewing Donald Rumsfeld separately. And I asked them both the same question. Is there anything you regret? And they both said the same thing. Cheney told me he regretted not responding more forcefully when people were saying Bush lied, people died, because it was a damn lie, a vicious damn lie, as if the commander-in-chief decided he wanted to go to war just because. He said, I didn't believe the American people would respond to that. I was shocked when so many of them did. We should have fought back and fought back forcefully. I talked to former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld. Again, same question. He said, I wish we had responded more forcefully when we were denounced as having lied us into the war. Think about that. Bush lied, people died. Still, the majority of Democrats believe it's true or that it is likely true. Majority. Never mind the article written by Rob Silberman of the by Lawrence Silberman of the Rob Silberman Commission, which Congress set up to look into the intel leading up to the Iraq War. And they wrote a report, which of course most Democrats don't read. They said nobody lied. The intel was wrong, dead wrong. Nobody lied. Bob Woodward, I think you guys used to like him when he was going after Richard Nixon, wrote a book. And he said, no question about it, nobody lied. That George Tenet, the CIA director who served under both Bill Clinton and under George W. Bush, told them both that the assertion that Saddam Hussein had stockpiles of WMD was, quote, a slam dunk. And still the left chants Bush lied, people died, and still a substantial percentage, if not the majority of Democrats, believe it the case. Just as the majority of Democrats believe the Russians not only interfered, but changed vote tallies with zero evidence. This is what we're up against.